Welcome back, you filthy exiles. I decided to just coin this as like a Doom Slayer build because Doom is out in new version. It looks really cool. Also, just how this plays is basically just looks like a sort of Doom Slayer shotgun build sort of thing going on. Anyway, so since the last update, I've done a fair few changes. We started like blasting citadels and making stupid mad banks. So this build has gotten pretty lucrative to just nuke maps. Since the last update, I've also unlocked the fourth ascendancy. As you can see, like I can just smash Troll Master like it's nothing now. It's at endgame pinnacles, so that's all in the B-roll at the very start of the video. The only thing it has an issue with is deliriums, in particular simulacrums, because it doesn't take very well to being rushed. It's just like the only content it really sort of struggles at, just on the basis of being rushed, but mapping is just a breeze. Everything's a breeze. We're at about 60% rarity now, and we've invested a fair bit into this build, so, we're reasonably decked out. We could be better decked out, but a lot of the gear we just, like, self-corrupted and stuff like that. But yeah, we're pretty much at the point where we've got a almost perfectly rolled Rondel of Fragility. A chest piece could have one more socket, but we've got damage recoup now. We're still running Deepest Tower, but this is off my other build, which gives us a ton of regeneration rate. And yeah, as an overall, like we're just doing stupid damage. New bow. Bow's pretty good. Big things on the bow that's really improving it is bolt speed. I found was actually really important. Projectiles travel for a further distance when you have more bolt speed. So it just means you can shoot basically off screen with this and blow entire packs up. But overall, this build is just, I'm pretty happy with this is currently standing. Also, on the Smith, using ruby rings is a really easy way to just cap out your fire res, I found, and that's basically what I'm doing here. And these can be pushed to slightly higher to a higher level. We aren't fully capped out on the chaos res, but not to worry. One amethyst charm later, and that's basically fixed. So you could switch out literally any one of these for an amethyst charm, and you'll be laughing. And as an overall, the build is pretty damn good. I do have a new POB, which I've put in the description below, and I've updated the mobilytics as well for the changes that I made. There's some minor tweaks around certain things that I was still testing, like I've now removed the crushing verdict, and then basically put the points into forces of nature, which gives me pen, which I found gave me more DPS. This is saying in the vicinity of like 110k, which seems like it's not a lot, but it's not compounding with the overkill damage off the trample toes and stuff like that, which totally blow entire maps up. Now my tune is level 89. We're missing 1 point to get to Adrenaline Rush, so it's a little bit slower. And also I've updated the tree for a level 21 setup. We're currently at level 19 because we have to get to level 90 to use level 20, and then we want to corrupt this up to level 21, and then we're totally capped out and laughing at the end of the day. So the B-roll is slightly less powerful than what the POV will show, but as an overall it's pretty okay. Some other things defensiveness wise, we got 504 life regeneration per second. We're capped at 87%. Our ascendancy gives us 25% physical damage is converted to fire damage taken, and we got 20% increased strength and everything else good. We're at about 2,591 life pool, which is pretty good. We're starting to get up there. If we can get to 3,000, it'd be even better. Pushing this build further would probably do that, and or stacking more strength, but that's something that we can sort of do over time. As an overall, it pretty much just tackles the end game. It's total off matter, which is even cooler. But yeah, it's just fun blowing old screens up. Like, it's just enjoyable. Anyway, let's get into the gear, talk about that usual stuff, and punch through the video. Okay, so gearing wise, we did make some pretty big upgrades, as I mentioned. Number one, Deepest Tower is pretty much the go-to. You need Deepest Tower to make this work. I had some queries where could you make it work without Deepest Tower? Not really. You need this on the Smith to make the Smith a viable sort of build option for many different builds that you use on it. So still to recommend Deepest Tower as the go-to. Partly this is a reason sort of leading to the fact that skills just aren't set up properly and aren't base scaled very well by GGG. So this helm sort of fixes that, at least in the interim. We're using Rondel of Fragility as an endgame item. I know it's a bit unorthodox, but hear me out, it's really good. So because the Smith gets so much elemental resistance, we don't need to worry so much about balancing that. We get easy crit, 30% skill speed. Honestly, you could run this on any Smith. It's going to be amazing. Just 48% flat damage, because why not? We did upgrade our bow, and we managed to corrupt it to have 3 sockets, so we have 75% increased physical damage. We did drop to +4 level of projectiles, but again, the big thing is gain life on enemy killed. Will keep you alive in maps and everything else in between. But this bow is stupid, stupid OP. It could be higher if we could get a better bow. This could be better, but at this point, it's pretty good enough as it is. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. It's working well on bosses and everything. So yeah, it's pretty strong. And then rings, just running ruby rings at the end of the day. One with chaos res and the other with all other reses and intelligence. Bearing in mind, I did basically pay a bit more currency to get my my increased rarity on both the rings. This one isn't ideal. I got a 21% roll here, but basically that's how I've sort of went about getting my rarity as high as I possibly could push it. And then my chest, I managed to get a really lucky corrupted item for 12% damage taken or recouped as life. This is actually I found to be quite useful. So compared to like not having this and having this is a significant quality of life sort of addition for when you're mapping. I haven't got a 3 socket. They're quite expensive, so I've just got a 2 socket for now, but I could push this up later down the track. Gloves, same deal. Rarity gloves, pretty much like not ideal gloves. We also did get quantity of gold with the implicit on these. Chaos res, fire res, all the good stuff, life, and then basically we've got +40 to maximum life. We could potentially get better gloves, but these just do the job, so I'm pretty happy with it. Inferno clasp, no real change here. I did get a 50% roll, so I could push my reses up to as high as possible. And trample toes, I managed to just buy an uncorrupted pair and then corrupt it to 2 sockets, which allows me to get another 40 HP or maximum life, which gives me 80 max life to my boots, so that's pretty good. And yeah, now as far as the charms, I'm running a silver charm to basically mitigate slows. I'm running a frozen charm or thawing charm to stop from getting frozen, and I'm also running a stone charm to deal with stuns. And then life blast, I'll leave up to you of however you want to do that is totally up to you. Now, in relation to skills, we don't worry about normal crossbow shot, that's irrelevant. Incendiary shot, we're basically running the execute gem, we're running pinpoint, so we're still scaling crit. We could potentially play around with some other options on that, but that seems to work really well. Primal armament, we're running fork and we're running acceleration because more projectile speed equals more range. Then we've got Herald of Ash, we've got magnified effect, clarity, vitality, and fire mastery to give it that +1. Artillery Ballista is our other skill that we basically capped out at 6 link, and this gives us our additional amount of damage and cull. So we're running Concentrated Effect, Ancestral Urgency, Overabundance, so we can have 2 towers, Martial Tempo, and Culling Strike, which is pretty useful on bosses. Shards Scavenger, we're using Precision and Cold Mastery, because for some reason the scales with Cold, which is really good. We get +1 from that. Yeah, this is just to keep us going. It does consume the ignites as far as I'm aware, and that instantly reloads our crossbow. It's not 100% reliable, but it's not too bad either. Emergency reload, we've just got on a 4-link setup. We're running premeditation, ingenuity, and we're also running persistence. This is really good because you just want to cock this when you're like going into a boss fight, and you do get a bit of a damage buff because it buffs or empowers loaded bolts to do 30% more damage, so it does give you a bit more of that initial hit when you do have the buff up. Now, the last skill we've got is Oil Grenade, and we just basically pop this on the ground and we use Encumbrance and Second Wind, and basically this just slows down bosses so they have a little less time to get to you, or sorry, a little more time to get to you, and it just gives you more time to maneuver around and whatever. I haven't yet really come up with a better function for this at this stage, but this is working pretty well as like just a slow enemy down sort of debuff to enemies sort of thing. But overall, like, this skill setup's working really well for this build as far as I've tested. I might change out pinpoint critical, but we'll have a play around with that and see how we go. Okay, so tree-wise, we're at level 89 now, so I haven't really made any other major changes, so we still come down through the same pathing, all the same pathing. I do have dispatch foes, and I am running finishing blows still. Down into instant reloads, and you'll grab adrenaline rush as well. I did, well, I think I did this in the last video. I do need to switch this gem out because it's not ideal. But basically, yeah, we're just getting max presence, attack speed, boss, giant slayer, so we can kill bosses or rare enemies quicker. We did come up through here and grab forces of nature for the extra pen, and this actually increases our damage. And then we go up through smoke inhalation. We take the penetration node and also incendiary. And then we're basically coming up, grabbing Hail Heart, Finality, and then all the way up here, we're going to grab Made to Last. We're also just going to grab this dual socket here and ditch these crit nodes because I found they were pretty irrelevant. And we're also going to ditch the crushing verdict nodes because they were irrelevant as well. Then we come up and grab Fulmination. This just gives us increased damage against ignited enemies. All the way up into Prism Guard, up into Blood Magic. We've got another dual socket in here and Primal Growth at the end of the day to give us more AoE. And that's basically it. Now, our last ascendancy point that we did end up running Flowing Metal, and we also picked up Support Straps. And this gives us a ton of strength and also the 5% increased overcap, which gets us to 87%, which is quite useful. But yeah, that's basically it where we got, that's basically where we got to with the skill tree in the very end. Okay, and that's the build. Like, it's pretty straightforward. I'll update the mobalytics with a lot more information and details over the coming few days. But I thought I'd just do like another really quick update to show you the min-max on this. All the POB, mobalytics link, everything will be in the description below. And hopefully this is enough information for you to be able to replicate the build. There's other combinations you could do with this. I'm looking at like how I could do this with Black Flame or something very similar to that. And potentially a Chayula Monk Chaos setup with something very similar to this could be really cool too. And then basically getting it to work with Chaos damage somehow, but I haven't yet figured that out. Anyway, if you like this type of video, don't forget to like and sub to the channel. Also, if you want to catch our podcast, which is called the Coffee and Chaos podcast with me and Baron, I'll put a link in the description below to that as well. But until next time, have a good one and enjoy.